Think about this. Pretty much everywhere that we go, we will see an American flag flown over places that we visit. Okay? And that is something that unites us all. We are all together. We are all united. That whole E pluribus unum, from many, one. Take a look at us. Nobody here is the same as the other person. We are all united together, though, and making a really good experience for everybody else. You'll be in different groups. You'll be with different friends. There's all sorts of different things to keep track of. But we always have to be looking out for each other. We always have to be responsible for the benefit of the group. Okay? Okay, if you could please place hand over heart. We could say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Like, wow, these folk are right outside the bike racks. Then about 10 minutes later, they're going through. I'm like, wow, these people are going through bike racks. And then the next thing, they were at the foot of the steps. I'm like, wow, they're at the foot of the steps. Now, I don't think anything else is going to happen. And I see Capitol Police, many of whom I know, and they're looking around talking to each other, and they're halfway up the steps, and then I see them retreating all the way to the top. I'm like, wow, they're retreating to the top of the steps. And so then the crowd started pushing it. Now, what I didn't know, I didn't find out this past Thursday, they'd already breached this side. But I'm watching it from the front side. I'm like, wow, these guys just bum rushed the Capitol. I said, well, the good thing, you got those big doors there. They're not going to be able to, they'll just close the doors. That'll be the end of it, right? Then they started showing footage from Statuary Hall, and I'm like, wow, there's such and such statue, there's such, and I started recognizing these statues because normally we've got groups in there. And then I saw people walking through, I'm like, oh my goodness, they've reopened tours again. Man, I didn't know that, right? Then I start seeing people carrying flags through, and it became apparent to me they have breached the Capitol. And I'm sitting there saying, I can't believe this is going on. Then I'm hearing police sirens going through the neighborhood. I'm 14 blocks away, and I hear police helicopters overhead, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm getting calls from people saying, hey, do you need to leave? Maybe you need to go to your parents' house or something like that. I'm like, no, I think I'm fine. And the reason why I thought that is because, number one, I said if they ended up going into the neighborhoods, there were a lot of houses they were going to get to before mine. So I wasn't that concerned. The other thing was I didn't think that they were going to actually be allowed to leave the campus, which turned out to be the case. And so I'm watching this thing unfold, right? And I couldn't believe it, because the last time something like this happened was in 1814 when the British were here. And I'm like, it is the exact same thing. And you call it what you want, but it is what it is. Do we have the right? Here's the question, young people. Do we have the right to storm the Capitol, the White House, or anything else when things don't go the way we want them to go? No. Here's another point. What do you think would have played out if those folk were black?
They would have been shot.
I didn't say that, you did, and that's fine. The reason why I bring it up is because when I saw how these invaders were being treated, I'm like, you know, somebody had one of the guys by the gas mask, almost as if it was a cartoon, bending up and he's yelling, right? I'm like, really? And then the woman who tries to go through the door and get shot, when she did command after command, don't come in here. And for some reason, she thought she could just do that. And when she got shot, folks standing around like, oh, wow, what else? What did you think was going to happen? So the question, young people, that you must grapple with, do we have the right to do that when things don't go the way we want? Jefferson, in his Declaration of Independence, talks about, hey, you know, it's your responsibility to break off from a government, whatever, right? But he's talking about Great Britain. In primary sources after that, particularly the Constitution, you can't do that. What is it, Article 3, I think maybe Section 3? Essentially is insurrection. And do you know what the penalty for insurrection was and probably still is?
Yes.
Execution. So I don't get it. I don't get it. And here's the thing that really bothered me, because, you know, we're coaching up young people all the time. We tell you guys, go to school, get good grades, be a good citizen, and everything's going to work out for you. And then I've got to explain something like that to the kids that I mentor. When they say, hey, look, they didn't do what was supposed to, and people are being celebrated. I don't know what to tell them. So we've got to wonder whether or not we can do this. When is this necessary? When is it not necessary? And I will just give you my opinion. I don't think this was necessary, because we have elections. And FDR, I just pulled this up recently, FDR, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, says, if you want a democracy to be successful, you got to educate your people. That's it. We cannot afford to not educate our people for whatever reason. Because, listen, I jokingly say you can't believe everything you see on the internet, because that's how World War I got started. And people are like, yeah, you're right. There was no internet, right? But you got to be educated. You got to be able to know what's factual, you know, what's primary, and what's just simply made up. Because you know what? If I tell you that the sun comes up in the east every day and you're like, well, I just don't believe it, well, there's nothing I can say to you. But if you get up every morning, it's going to come up in the east. That's just the way it is. So you guys got to figure that stuff out. And I'm telling you, I had never seen that happen before. I hope it never happens again. And that's about 10 years ago. I say a civil war in this country could never happen again. I'm not too sure of that right now. It's going to be on you guys. I've said it over and over. What we need, people with character, people who are competent in what they're doing, and people who have the camaraderie to excite others, encourage others to be the best they can possibly be. That's the type of team that we need, and it transcends race, it transcends religion, whatever. People who want to do the right thing, that's it.